Thank you. Yes, I have the last talk, and this is the only talk going on now. So my talk is Icinga as an aggregation tool. So this is a presentation about what we're trying to do with 3 customers. I've had to make it generic, so none of the customer data is in there. I have a demo, which hopefully works. The network isn't stable, but we'll see what we can do. So yeah, I have a small company in Belgium. We do system and software engineering. I do a lot of stuff with enterprise, and I help organize conferences. So Chris already mentioned Config Management Camp. We have YAML Camp, XML Camp. Yes. The same day as YAML Camp in the afternoon, no? And then we have our smaller one, Load Days, which we are trying to restart because with Corona we shut down. And then DevOps Days, I helped organize a few small ones. So yeah, I'm more active in the Ansible community, but I'm also active in the Puppet community now. But coming back to the presentation. So there's an introduction, which will be very boring for most of you because by now you know everything about monitoring. And then more about the aggregation and the front layer that we are trying to build. So introduction. You have infrastructure. You monitor that infrastructure and you visualize that monitoring. Very simple, but again, you all know what that means. But the main problem with that is you have a whole bunch of toolings. Some of them open source, the ones in orange. Some of them not so open source in black. Now, as an operator, you can be logging into 10 of them. The previous talk went over a dozen tools, and there was a question like, do you log into a dozen tools? And some larger enterprises at the moment have an operator logging into 5, 6 tools. And that's a problem, because if you have 5 tools, you need to be educated in those 5 tools. They have different namings, they have different way of working, they visualize things differently. Some of them, like the last one there, IBM Tivoli, might cost you a fortune if you want to make some customizations. VMware today will also most probably cost you a fortune. So these are things that if you want to customize and you want to work, it won't help you. Also, like, where do you have all the data in all of your monitoring tools? Do you actually have a CMDB that has everything in there, a single source of truth? These are very complex things once you start with all of these toolings. So that's why we are trying to do aggregation. So we can change the enterprise of using these proprietary tools. If you, for instance, have UPSs from APC, they only support structureware. This means you need to use that tool. But it doesn't mean you need to use that tool for everything. So the current situation most of the customers have is they need to log into each system. They have a configuration per system that they need to maintain. If that system is doing notifications, it means they need to configure the notifications in that system or get the notifications out and then manage that externally. And yeah, there's a difference in layout between all of these tools. Also, like the variables in each of the tools is different. So sometimes an operator needs to have like 4 tools open just to know what's going on and to who should he escalate things. So you have a lot of sprawl. Visually, you have an operator, he has to log into several of these, and then he needs to create a ticket in maybe 2 or 3 to follow up because they have external suppliers also doing things. So an operator is completely confused, and you have a dozen operators which are specialized maybe in 1 or 2 of these tools, and if that operator isn't there, then you hopefully have some other operators that can manage that. So what is the situation we want to create? We want to create a single pane of glass, so an operator logs in and always sees the same interface. We want to have unified naming, which is why we send everything to a central CMDB and then do nomenclature verification. We can do team management, so we can actually now have one operator do multiple of these tools. And we can have a control room where you have, like on most large screens, showing all of the information of all of the situation of all of the infrastructure. The only thing that we need to do is have a better data model. Most of the larger companies prefer to have the data managed by themselves because then they can export that and do AI on that and do all nice stuff with it. And we saw already examples where AI could help with things. So what we're trying to build here is the operator logs into Icinga on the front end. Icinga gets synchronized by your CMDB and has an event backend where all of these monitoring tools send their events into. And there is where you do a lot of the logic and the filtering. And then from Icinga 2, you can create a ticket if auto-remediation wouldn't work, or if there are other reasons, you can create a ticket. And so we have several prepared for customers because they also have, in one company, sometimes 3 different ticketing systems. But you want an operator to just click a button, create ticket, and based on the variables of that device, it will actually create a ticket in the right backend. So an operator does not need to know that you have, for instance, ServiceNow for your ticketing for IT and Jira for everything that's software. The operator just clicks create a ticket. It creates the ticket. It knows that, okay, this is a software application, so I need to do this in Jira, or this is an actual hardware, I do this in ServiceNow, or in Request Tracker, or any other software you actually use. And then there's the service provider that can actually log in, because some of these things might be externally managed. And so then that service provider would get the right information or be linked to the ticket management system. So that's what we've been trying to build. I'm going to explain how we did the front layer. So we've been very simplistic in here. We use the Icinga 2 API connecting with the CMDB. We don't use director, we just use the API. The reason for that is if your CMDB has all the truth, you don't need to do any manipulations anymore. So it literally just exports all the time the data. If you add a new host or service, it will create that in Icinga within minutes. And then from the front-end website, we link with all the ticketing solutions. And that's the idea that you have variables that you add so that the front-end website knows where it needs to create a ticket. We just use custom vars in Icinga for that, which isn't a lot of complexity. And then, like I explained, the event backend is the part which does the central logic. We can do the auto-remediation from there. You can use that data to create reports. You can use that data to do AI on. And you can link that then with your Ansible or Puppet if you want to do that even. Then we've been busy trying to create a control room view, which is basically large dashboards, so you can actually see the entire state of the infrastructure or of your software. Also trying to look at what it is that the user is impacted. So obviously, like a previous presentation said, a switch falling out is not that important if it doesn't affect your front-end website where your customers are ordering tickets or you are selling products. For IT, that makes a difference, but for your solution, it doesn't make a big difference. And then we have a small dependency view. We developed this before Icinga started their dependency. Ours is a little bit more simplistic. We will most probably at one point try to merge them together. So in this setup, we have the Icinga 2 stack on the front end. We use the Icinga 2 for all the API calls. So that's on the backend side. We have Redis and Icinga DB, which is a standard setup, and a Postgres database. The users obviously interact with the Icinga web part, which is why all of the custom modules are actually only done in the Icinga web part. And that's why we have a module with the custom layout. We try to give a better overview based on what the customer wants. They want to have things a little bit differently in the sense that they prefer to have columns, they prefer to have different type of dashboards, but that's more customer-specific choices. But the more important thing is that you have direct ticket handling in there. So even if you have ServiceNow, it will show you the state of ServiceNow when a ticket is created. For SAP, it does the same. For Request Tracker, it does the same. Which means that at that point, the operator does not need to go to ServiceNow, but can see all the details. If someone else, a support engineer, is actually working on that, he updates it in ServiceNow, and the operator can see that it's being worked on, or it is already resolved in the meanwhile. We also have checklist integration. So in one of the previous talks, there was like, okay, we should create checklists on what we should do and how we should handle incidents. So that's a part that I don't have in the demo, but we are busy preparing that, where if an incident happens, it will actually show a new tab that these are the steps you need to follow to remediate, and these are the steps that if you have followed them, then only please create a ticket. Yeah, and we have some additional graphing like the dependency module and some other things by trying to integrate Grafana dashboards into Icinga on different places. There's already support for many things, but that's what we're trying to do. The part that we just started on is sending feedback to the original monitoring system. So let's say you have a Zabbix running and a SCOM running, and an operator says, okay, I think I've done all the remediation steps. In place of waiting for the monitoring system to send the event back, which can take sometimes up to a minute, depending on which monitoring system is behind it, we can go and request an immediate check. So it would send an API call to Zabbix or SCOM, and then it would again send the event back into the front layer of Icinga. So that's how it visually looks. You have, obviously, in this part, Icinga Web 2, which talks to the ticketing which talks to the auto remediation, and you have all your monitoring on that side. The main reason why we are not trying to change everything to Icinga or to Zabbix or anything else is because each team in the enterprise wants to run their own service. They have specific reasons why they want to do that. Trying to fight that would take us years, and we would never get anywhere. But we did get management to approve this idea. So this is what we're going with, and that's why the front layer is what we are deploying mostly, and what we are responsible for. So hopefully I can do a demo then. Yeah. Okay. Can anyone read this? No. So, okay, hopefully you can read this, or do I need to enlarge more? Okay. So, one of the things that most of the customers want is column layouts. This is available in Icinga, but it's not available by default. It's also not dynamic. So what we did is we have them, if I can find them again, sorry. We have them here with the ticket number, with the status of the ticket. We have the brands of the devices there, and everything there available for an operator to see directly. So in one view, they see everything. They have all the details. It's always the same naming. It's always the same information. Now I need to see. And yeah, we did some additional dashboards. So you have dashboards by brand. Well, that's not the right one, sorry. No. Yeah, you see, we're still working on all the little details. Okay, this is the right one. So you see if you can see in the URL, it's basically custom var equals brand, which means that if you in the URL change the brand to any other host variable, it will create the donuts with that automatically. Here it's a simple example of brand. I have another example with CPU type. So it basically tells you that This is our test installation, so there's only like maybe 5,000 objects in there. The production database is about 2 million objects. So we are still optimizing for speed. In the 2 million one, this you see is instant. In the 2 million one, it takes us 3 seconds to load this. The customer wanted less than 5, so we are fine, but we're still trying to get it better. But this is some of the things that they wanted, and I think this is the one which took us a little bit longer time. Again, here you see the name there on the top, so you always give just a custom variable name, and it will generate this. But this is more the view that they typically have. In this example, it's brand, but imagine you have one for compute, one for storage, one for network. And so in one view, an operator can see, okay, there are this many problems in the networking stack. What are they? And if you click here, then obviously you see, well, this one works. So you see, for instance, here on several Raspberry Pis, we have 8 of them in here, and there are 3 down. So you click on it, you get to see, again, the columns are always the same, so they're used to seeing that. If I click on one of these, I have the traditional Icinga buttons, but you'll see I have here a create ticket button. So if I create a ticket here, and I give it a description, it will actually create one in request tracker. If then a support engineer in request tracker says, okay, I've resolved this, the status here will change to resolved. I have another example, hopefully. Yeah, here. That's there. For the moment, we are still persisting the resolved. We are not deleting it. We're most probably going to delete them after a while so that people don't see these anymore. But for the sake of the demo, I still have that here. Yeah, we have the dependency graph, like I said. I have to see. Yeah, that will be. This predates what Icinga is doing. So if you were at burn stock state of Icinga, you will see the more improved version. What we do is we do an API call to the Icinga 2 backend. We get all of the dependencies, and we filter it out. So for this example, again, it takes us a second. In the 2 million one, it takes us a little bit too long. So we're trying to do that. For now, we can do 2 levels down and 2 levels up. But it's also that if I close this, it doesn't keep that. Does this work? Where did it go? Okay, it came back. So if this system is down, it would actually go red instantly. If you double click on it, it opens the object in the column view, and you see everything directly. So you see all of this. You see the custom variables here. So this is data that it extracts. This isn't live, so I saw a talk about LSHW, if I get it right. So we could actually do this live. For now, this is actual data that gets injected. So if the RAM on this machine, which in this case is an example, has actually changed, it doesn't update always all the details yet, so we're working on that. If I go to source, you'll actually see that there's most probably more amount of data there, but we filter on only what the customer needs to see. So we have filterings in there so that the operator doesn't see like 1,000 variables because they're going to get confused with that. So some filtering in that. Let me see. Oh, no. Okay. Well, I thought I had examples with red examples, but all the machines seem to be up. So, and then what else did we do here? That doesn't. Oh, okay. That's more or less what we've been trying to do. We have some other examples of more dashboards. I'm trying to find, yeah, this is the other one that I wanted to show. So if you have, let's say, IT and telco, or IT and network, then you can have different views in the host and in the service one. In the demo, I only have it on the host, but it basically means you have a different tab. So in this case, yes, that's the link that I did not copy correctly, but I can change that. Yeah. So you see that the columns are different. So you can actually show relevant information to the different teams, but with one same viewing instrument. So IT will, for instance, see like CPU and memory, while the storage team will see the disk capacities because they're more interested in that. It's not like they can do anything with CPU utilization because they typically don't have that in their own management. But that's the other thing that we're busy updating. That's the demo. And now, hopefully, the customers love monitoring again. We will actually going live with the first customer on the 2nd of December, so we'll see how that goes. And then the next ones are a month later and another month later. So, but that's all I had. Thank you for listening and for holding on so long.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Maybe everybody wants to go home. There is a question, yes. I will give you the microphone.
Hi, thanks for the talk. Because these are Icinga Web 2 modules, are they available on GitHub or somewhere?
So if I go back, no, where did I put it? Yeah, I'll do it with this. So the ones like with request tracker and the custom layout will be all fully open source. We need to scrape all the customer specific stuff out of it. The ones for SAP, I know we're not permitted to open source. The one for ServiceNow, I'm negotiating with them if we can get that open sourced. So yeah, the actual module will be, the custom layout module will be open sourced. That will be January because we need to wait 30 days after the customer deploys. Some components may not be available because we can't do that. And those are all proprietary links. They are not open source links. All the open source links will be available. So we have Request Tracker, Bugzilla, but the other ones I cannot guarantee.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you. Okay, then let's give another thanks to Toshaan.